In the ancient lands of Scandinavia, there are mysterious beings known as Huldras. These creatures are female forest spirits, as beautiful as they are dangerous. They are said to have been the most beautiful women to inhabit the land. Huldras, also known as Skogdra in some regions, are described in legends as women of incomparable beauty. Their appearance is that of a beautiful young woman, with long golden or brown hair falling over her shoulders. However, her true nature is revealed on her back, where a cow's tail can be seen, or in some versions, a hollow in the trunk, as if she were a hollow tree. These creatures are known to become jealous guardians of the forests and the animals that inhabit them. Ancient stories tell that Huldras can be benevolent to those who respect nature, but terrible to those who harm it or enter the forest with evil intentions. Huldras are said to have once been human women, transformed by the gods into guardians of the forests. According to the stories, this change was both a punishment and a blessing. Punishment for some offense is forgotten by time, but a blessing for the grace and beauty bestowed upon them. On full moon nights, the Huldras are said to emerge from their hiding places in the heart of the forest. Their song of unearthly beauty can be heard in the distance, luring the unwary. Young men are particularly vulnerable to their charm, and many legends tell of hunters or woodcutters who were seduced by these creatures, never to be seen again. However, Huldras are not simply predators. In some stories, they are described as helping farmers with their livestock or guiding lost travelers out of the forest. But their help always comes with a price, and those who offend them or break their promises suffer terrible consequences. Central to the legend of the Huldras is their insatiable lust. These creatures are known for their intense sexual attraction and their ability to seduce men with ease. Their irresistible bodies and sensual behavior can lull men into a trance-like state, leaving them vulnerable and at the mercy of the Huldra. Men who fall under the spell of a Huldra can experience indescribable pleasure, but they are also exposed to great danger. Some accounts claim that those who lie with a Huldra may lose their vitality, weakening to death. In other cases, men are driven to irremediable madness, unable to find satisfaction in any other woman. Huldras have been the protagonists of numerous legends and folktales in Scandinavian mythology. The story goes that in one village, a young shepherd named Eric tended his flock. Eric was known for his adventurous spirit, always eager to explore beyond known boundaries. One day, while herding his sheep at the edge of the forest, Eric heard a melodious song that seemed to come from deep within the forest. Curiosity and the desire to discover the source of such a lovely melody drove him deeper and deeper into the trees, leaving the safety of the open field behind. The voice he heard was sweet and captivating, and seemed to speak directly to his soul. Without realizing it, Eric went so far into the forest that he lost his sense of direction. Suddenly, he found himself in front of a woman of dazzling beauty, with golden hair that shone like the sun. The woman was looking at him sweetly, inviting him closer with a gaze he could not resist. Eric, caught by the woman's charm, forgot his responsibilities and his loved ones, intoxicated by the Huldra's presence. The woman took him to a small cave hidden among the trees, where time seemed to stand still. Days passed, and Eric became completely absorbed by her company. Gradually, however, he began to notice that his energy was waning, as if his very vitality was being taken from him. As the Huldra slept one day, Eric noticed his companion's hollow back and cow's tail. Horrified, he understood the true nature of the creature he had shared so much time with. Determined to escape, he used the last of his strength to run toward the village. When he returned, Eric was barely a shadow of his former self, and although he survived, he never became the same, having lost a part of his soul in the forest. Another story tells of a hunter named Lars, known for his skill with the bow and his knowledge of the forest. One day, while tracking a deer, Lars encountered a beautiful woman. The woman, who seemed to appear out of nowhere, greeted him with a charming smile and invited him to follow her. Lars, wary but attracted by her appearance, accepted. As they walked along, the woman promised him riches and eternal love if he would accompany her home. However, Lars noticed something strange about her behavior and decided to keep his eyes open. As they reached a clearing in the forest, the woman turned toward him, revealing her hollow back and cow's tail. In an instant of panic, Lars drew his bow and aimed at her. The Huldra, furious at having become discovered, let out a scream that echoed throughout the forest. Lars fired his arrow, but instead of wounding it, the Huldra disappeared in a flash of light. The hunter, trembling with fear, returned to the village, vowing never to enter those woods again. Although he survived the encounter, Lars knew he had been lucky, and the experience scared him forever. However, not all stories end in tragedy. In a small village, a woodcutter named Henrik was known for his kindness. One day, while chopping wood in the forest, Henrik found a woman of incredible beauty weeping by a fallen tree. Moved by her sadness, he approached her and offered his help. The woman, who turned out to become a Huldra, told him her story and her curse. Henrik, instead of running away, promised to help her find a way to break the curse. For months, Henrik and the Huldra, named Sigrid, worked together to find a solution. Their relationship grew stronger, and Henrik fell in love with her, not because of her beauty, but because of her kindness and courage. Finally, Henrik decided that the only way to break the curse was to marry her in the village church. He convinced the villagers, despite their fear and prejudice, and together they led Sigrid to the altar. As they crossed the threshold of the church, the curse was broken, and Sigrid became a mortal woman, forever free of her doom. Henrik and Sigrid lived happily, proving that true love and kindness can overcome any obstacle. The Huldras, though beautiful, their story is full of sadness, especially when it comes to human children. Unable to bear children of their own, Huldras sometimes resort to stealing human babies. According to legend, they approach human homes in the silence of the night, taking advantage of the darkness to exchange their children, called changelings, for human babies. These changelings may appear normal at first, but soon become distinguished by strange behavior and out-of-the-ordinary abilities. Human parents, puzzled by the change in their children, sometimes seek help to discover the truth. Meanwhile, the human babies carried by the Huldras grow up in a completely different environment. They live in the world of the Huldras, surrounded by nature and mystery. The Huldras care for these children with care, but the children always feel a strange sense of not quite belonging there. In time, some of these human children begin to remember fragments of their past life. A familiar object, a melody, or an event may trigger these memories. Motivated by confusion and the desire to understand their true identity, some find their way back to their human families. Over time, the inhabitants of the villages near the Huldra forests created various ways to protect themselves and live alongside these mysterious beings. Iron was considered one of the strongest amulets against the tricks of the Huldras. Villagers used to carry small iron objects, such as nails or tiny horseshoes. They believed that this would defend them from the charms or tricks of the forest creatures. This idea applied to many magical beings in Norse stories, not just Huldras. Giving offerings was another custom to keep peace with the Huldras. Branches of feverfew and vandalrot, known as valerian, were highly valued. It was thought that these plants of the region were liked by the Huldras, and that offering them could win their goodwill. Villagers would leave these herbs at the edges of the forest or in places where Huldras were said to visit. The relationship between humans and Huldras was fragile. Angering a Huldra could lead to serious trouble. Stories were told of people cursed with evils, of livestock that vanished without a trace, or of hunters who were lost forever in the forest after offending a Huldra. The Huldra's punishment was frightening because it became harsh and long-lasting. For it was said that a Huldra could wait years, even decades, to take revenge for an offense. And this concludes our journey through the fascinating world of the Ultras of Scandinavian mythology. This video has been created for the Mythophiles and History channel. Thanks for joining us in a new story. See you next time.